So, you know that amazing tool that helped you get everything off the ground? Well, what if I told you it might be secretly costing you a fortune now that you're successful? That's what we're digging into today, the automation profit trap.
And look, let's get one thing straight right off the bat. You absolutely made the right call. Using tools like Zapier, Make, or n8n, that was a brilliant move. I mean, you were building fast, getting clients, sending invoices. It was the perfect way to get started. A total win.
But, and there's always a but, right? The very thing that made you successful can turn on you. As you scale up, the math it flips. And that early win, it could be quietly siphoning, 50 grand a year straight out of your profits. Seriously.
All right, so here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll talk about the honeymoon phase. Then we'll get into the big problems, the cost, the speed, and the stuff that fails silently. And don't worry, we'll finish with a solid blueprint to get you on the right track. Okay, let's kick things off with the low-code honeymoon. This is all about why those tools feel so magical at the beginning and why eventually that magic has to run out. And you can't argue with the results, right? At first, these platforms are amazing, perfect for testing an idea, handling a quick job for a client. I mean, they can slash repetitive tasks by up to 95%. It's no wonder that like 67% of leaders say they're essential. It's the whole build fast, launch faster dream come to life. But this is where we hit the paradox of scale. It's kind of ironic, really. Your success is actually what creates the problem. Once you start hitting big numbers, like say over 100,000 tasks a month, that paper task model that felt so great, it starts working against you. It becomes a tax on your growth, just eating away at your profits with every single task. All right, let's get into the nitty-gritty. The numbers. This is where it gets real. We're talking about the unit economics, and trust me, this is the number one thing that will absolutely destroy your margins when you start to scale. Okay, just look at this comparison. It's just wild. To run 100,000 tasks on a platform like Zapier or Make, you could be looking at anywhere from $1,600 to almost $3,000. But if you build it yourself with a code-first stack, we're talking maybe $75, maybe $250 on the high end. It's insane. The per-task model is basically a penalty for being good at what you do.
Yeah, 95%. Let that number just sit there for a sec. We're not talking about saving a few bucks here and there. This is a 95% cut in your costs. That's pure profit going straight back into your pocket every single month. It's a huge opportunity that so many people just miss.
And hey, this whole thing isn't just for basic automations. It's the same story with your AI tools. So you might start with a complex RAG model, where the AI looks up info to give an answer. It's super fast to set up. But when you start doing thousands of queries, it gets pricey, like $41. A fine-tuned model that's trained for one specific job, that's more like $20. It's half the cost. The point is, this thinking applies to your entire tech stack.
Okay, so money's one thing, but there's another huge piece to this puzzle: speed, performance. Because let's be real, in today's world, latency isn't just an annoyance, it's a conversion killer. Just check out this chart. The difference is night and day. Your typical iPaaS stack could take up to 15 seconds to finish a task. 15 seconds! Now look at the code-first stack. Under 2.5 seconds. That is a massive, massive improvement. Think about your customer, just sitting there, waiting. That delay feels like an eternity.
And that's why this is so critical. You get a new lead and you want to respond instantly, right? Every single second you wait, your chances of converting that lead drop. So that delay on the chart, that's not just a number, that's a potential customer walking away. Speed literally equals sales.
All right, so we've talked cost and we've talked speed. But there's a third, kind of sneaky problem lurking in the shadows: the hidden cost of things just breaking. We're talking about those silent failures, the stuff you can't see, and all the time your team just burns trying to figure out what went wrong. You hear 98% success rate, and you think, hey, that's pretty great, but is it? When you're doing 100,000 tasks a month, a 2% failure rate means 2,000 things failed. 2,000! That's 2,000 unhappy customers or lost pieces of data. And the worst part? A lot of these are silent failures. You don't even know they're happening until it's too late. So how do you get to that elite level, like 99.5% success or better? Well, you have to own the whole system. You need the control to build in smart features like automatic retries or what's called a dead letter queue, which is just a fancy way of saying a safety net for any tasks that fail. You just can't get that level of granular control from a tool you don't own.
And when something does break, the clock starts ticking. How fast can you fix it? Look at this. On an iPaaS platform, trying to trace an error through all the different tools is a total headache. It can take 4 to 8 hours. 4 to 8 hours! With a code-first stat where you can see everything, you can pinpoint and fix the problem in 30 to 90 minutes. Just think about how much developer time and money that saves.
Okay, we've laid out all the problems: cost, speed, reliability. It sounds a little bleak, I know, but now for the good part. The fix. Here's your actual blueprint for building a system that scales and actually makes you more profitable.
And this isn't some abstract theory. These are the actual components you can use. We're talking about things like a Hetzner VPS for your computing power, RabbitMQ to manage your tasks, Supabase for your database. This is a real-world, battle-tested stack. It's totally achievable, and it puts you right back in the driver's seat.
So what's the takeaway here? What do you do tomorrow? It's simple. Stop guessing. Start measuring. First, you need to track those 5 key metrics we talked about: cost per task, latency, success rate, and so on. Second, figure out your crossover point. Find the exact number of tasks where it becomes cheaper to build than to buy. And third, take control. Own your stack, own your performance, and own your profit margins. So in the end, it really all boils down to one simple but tough question. Those low-code tools are incredibly convenient when you're starting out, no doubt about it. But as you grow, that convenience has a price tag, a big one, and it's paid with your money, your speed, and your reliability. So you have to ask yourself, what is that convenience really costing you? And how much of your hard-earned profit are you willing to give up for it?